An industry is shown at the beginning of part 1 of the movie Ant-Man, where a scientist had made particles, but other scientists of that chemical industry wanted to steal those particles. So that scientist is irritated of this who made those particles, and he resigns the agency. So it was flashback. Now let's come to the current time. Now that scientist has his own agency. He has also a daughter, but his daughter says to him that, "Father, you have grown old now. I will be able to take the charge of this agency along with my co-worker." During those days, when scientist is not visiting the agency, then his daughter and her co-worker builds a yellow dress which was like the replica of Ant-Man. They were going to misuse this costume. They wanted to become richest soon, selling this costume on a high cost, which was absolutely wrong. On the other side, main character of this movie comes on the scene. His name is Scott. He was a robber and he was returning back after facing a great punishment. He goes to meet his daughter who is pretty, but his wife had wedded to another person after getting divorced from him. Scott had to spend his life in some way, so he begins to search for a job, but no one offers him job, saying that you have a criminal record. He gets worried. He moves to meet his friend. His friend says to him, "You have fully struggled to search for a job. It is not your fault that no one is offering you a job. You perfectly know how to rob. You may start robbery again." Then Scott says, "Yeah, I will have to do it for survival." Scott's friend tells him about the location of a house, that there is something as such as you will be richer after getting it. Scott was very excited. He breaks into the house and damages the safe. He checks, neither there is money nor diamond. There was just a costume of Ant-Man. He says to his friend, "Which useless thing is this? I thought there will be costly thing." Meanwhile, police also approach there. He is again seized and brought to a prison, where he meets that scientist who had made the chemical. He says to him, "Don't be afraid, it was my trick. You may reach to that costume and wear it, because I wanted to know it as you are fit for it or not. It was the attribute of that costume as you could can't your size, wearing it. It means that you may be heightened or shortened." A few ants bring the costume of Ant-Man where Scott is imprisoned. Scott puts it on immediately, and he comes out the prison. He directly goes to that scientist who tells him, "My daughter has built the replica of this costume. It is in yellow color which is more technological. She wants to sell it but I will never let it happen, because she has built it, using my technology. I selected you so that you may go to her and bring that costume to me." Scott is agreed with him because he has helped him to come out from the prison, and he directly goes to that agency where that scientist's daughter was present. He asks Scott, glimpsing her, "Why have you come here?" So Scott speaks the truth. Now the daughter of scientist says, "Listen, if it is truth, I repent that I cheated my father. I keep him away from this agency so that I may build this costume. If he really wants to search for that person who will be able to use it properly, then it is all right. But I will test you before it. I will also train you as you are really have the ability to put on this costume." Being agreed, Scott begins to get training from him. How he has to use this costume. Scientist's daughter is feeling guilty for her father. She says to her father, going to meet him, "I always continued to think that you and mother have been divorced, and that chemical was everything for you. Today I ask you, tell me, where is mother?" That scientist tells, "My daughter, I had also built a costume for your mother, and it was called Wasp Suit. She could also fly. One day, she reduced herself into small size when we were on a mission, but she lost somewhere from where she cannot be returned, because it has a rule. It has limitation of reducing size. You cannot shrink yourself than its limit, but your mother crossed the limit. I miss her till today." Scott is also listening their conversation. He moves to the scientist and says to him, "You never told me before." That scientist says to Scott, "I did not give you that suit yet. Keep it in your mind. Never reduce your size too much, otherwise, you will be lost." Scientist tells Scott, "That time has approached, that I am sending you on your first mission, because you have get training how have you used the Ant-Man suit." He instructs him, "You have to go to that agency which I left many years ago, and you have to steal a secret device, going there." Scott says to him, "Don't worry," and he moves to that agency. Scott had worn that red and black Ant-Man costume, because scientist's daughter co-worker deceived them, and he starts the partnership with that agency from where scientist had resigned. Scott steals that secret device from that place. Then he comes to know that the co-worker of scientist's daughter is also there, who is conducting some experiments on the yellow Ant-Man suit, even though he had arranged a meeting for its bargaining. Now that man was going to display this suit in that meeting. Then Ant-Man reaches there with his swarm of ants. He spoils the whole system of that place, and he reaches that place where Yellow Ant-Man's suit was placed. Scott, who was now Ant-Man, had reached there. He was going to steal that suit. Then that co-worker appears there. He says to him, "I knew that you will surely approach here." He captures Scott, scientist, and his daughter. Scott, who was Ant-Man, hits upon an idea. He reduces his size so that he may save scientist and his daughter. At the same time, an agent appears there, who begins to escape, stealing the formula of that Ant-Man suit. There were set explosives which were there to save that yellow suit. Explosives are instantly blasted. Scott had already saved scientist and his daughter, and they had come out of that agency. At first sight, that agency is blasted. Now that co-worker had not ruined his yellow costume in those explosives. Of course, he had arranged something. He has saved that yellow costume. Now he himself puts it on. Scott cannot bear it. He immediately moves to him. Now the battle starts between them. Scott is on the advantage because he had learnt how he has used that Ant-Man suit, while that man was not getting ability to use that Ant-Man suit, whereas that suit was more technological. So he becomes aggressive, thinking with that he had learnt these skill. He directly goes to Scott's house when he is unable to do anything. He grabs his daughter to blackmail him. Scott quickly returns to his house and begins fighting with that co-worker. There is enough fight between them. He thinks an idea: why did I not go inside this suit after shrinking myself? It means I may disrupt the whole system of this suit. And he does the same. His plan had been successful. That man's yellow costume is destroyed completely. But Scott had committed a mistake here. He has reduced his size too much. He had reached the quantum realm from where the returning was not easy, where scientist's wife had also disappeared. He is enough upsetted. Then he notices a capsule which he sets in his suit, and he begins to regulate it, which causes the reversing of time. And that place also releases Scott from there. All are very excited when he comes to the macroscopic world, and scientist asks Scott, "How did you do it? How did you come back from that realm? I have got much pleasure by your action. You don't know that I am very satisfied, as my wife will also be able to return." He appreciates him too much. In the end of the movie, scientist brings his daughter to a place where he shows her a new replica costume. It was the replica of Wasp. He tells her that it is my new creation, and the part I complete on this scene.